Hello, welcome back to another pen talk. Thank you very much for participating with me as I explore the amazing wide world of pens. Yep, we got a new pen today, and I brought out Mr. Frog. Yes, I was going to say crab, but the pen is not crab worthy. But Mr. Frog certainly is looking at it and going, WTF. So you may ask, why? Because I saw a Facebook posting of this Jinhao pen, and it looked really, really good. Stabilized wood, and the colors were great. So I went on AliExpress, which is the only place I could find the pen, and I ordered one. Here's what it looked like in the listing. And when I received it, this is what it looked like. Not the same pen in my view. This is one basic color, red, some lighter versions, and maybe there's a little orange there, but it's all in that red family. Where the posting showed it to have a lot of variety of colors in the wood. All of the pens did, so I'm just wondering what those other ones might look like. The Facebook posting looked better. So I complained on AliExpress when I left my review of the pen, said it was disappointed with the fact that it's kind of one color and not representative of what was in the listing. The cap comes off in, about 1.5 turns. You know, the pen has some nice features, like the Jinhao 9056 that it emulates, resembles, or maybe definitely might be made in the same factory. But here the section is that same stabilized wood, where in the other pens it's black plastic. But you have your metal band here at the bottom. I would call that a generic fine nib. Certainly not a Jinhao nib. Might write as well. We'll find out when I ink it up. And as expected, it's a cartridge converter, and those metal threads are very nice. You can spin off the barrel. The converter looks like a Jinhao converter, but it's not branded Jinhao. It just pops out, and it's a standard connection. So that's the pen. We're going to compare it to some other wood pens that I have. So look for a suitable ink. I don't have any right now in mind, but I'll find one. Stay tuned. So I have as much light as I possibly can get on the pen. We have sunlight coming in. I have all my LEDs turned on. And it's not bringing out any nuances of color. Interesting pattern, but I have that in other wood pens. Let's see what the seller says. If they will respond to my comments that I'm disappointed with the pen they sent me versus the photos of the pen that they were selling. So the listing calls this a Jinhao 9058, but there's nothing to validate that. That's the only place I see a Jinhao 9058 model listed any place. It's a 9056 if anything, but it's a generic pen. That's what it is. The fact that there's no Jinhao anywhere, no model number anywhere, generic nib, sellers can call any pen anything they want, and who knows how this pen was commissioned or made, or who dealt with the manufacturers to produce it. I mean, it has a lot of potential if it only looked like the pictures in the listing. So you may ask, what is stabilized wood? Well, this excellent knife that I bought a few years ago, did a video on it. This is definitely stabilized wood, and the colors in this is something I expected to see in the pen, not these exact colors, but a wide range of colors, the intensity of the colors, but the pen does not have that. So what's stabilized wood? It's something impregnated with epoxy resin, probably a similar type of resin that pens are turned from. And then they use vacuum and pressure and all different things to push the resin into the wood. And then they cure it and then finish it off with some nice polish. Yeah, nice to have a pen made out of that material in the handle of the knife. So I had to do the flush. I'd say the pen has a medium flow. But I also wanted to check out the nib collar, thinking that it might have some relationship to the Jinhao nib collars, but it doesn't. It has an interesting recess there, which fits very well the converter, kind of a la Bach design. Feet is somewhat similar too. Interesting. We're going to darken the room and take a look inside the cap and barrel at some other interesting design engineering elements. The room has been darkened, but the camera adjusts. So we're going to bring in the LED, play it on the bits and pieces. So one of the things about wood pens is they may crack. I have a few of them that have. But here they have a metal liner in there that hopefully stabilizes the wood. It certainly feels substantial, well made. If we look inside the barrel, there's also a nice metal insert there. So when you're screwing and unscrewing the pen, you're not putting stress on the wood itself. And if we look inside the cap, we'll see what we've seen in other wood caps like this from brands by Jinhao. There's a nice solid complete wood liner in there, which should maintain the stability of the wood, at least not be affected by screwing and unscrewing. That's it. The pen was well packaged in bubble wrap, nothing else, but it did have a velvet pouch which was inside of it. Haven't had a velvet pouch pen for a while. They used to come with every Chinese pen a few years ago. So here are a few wood pens I think we should compare to the Jinhao, or whatever you want to call this one I just got. Here's the pen I think it's based on, which I really enjoyed. I like the way the pattern in that wood comes through. Has a clip, nice functional clip, and it's spring-loaded. If you unscrew the cap, you'll see there's that black section. Like I mentioned, the other one has a wood section. And of course, this has a Jinhao nib. Same metal collar piece here at the bottom. Same metal threads throughout. Same nice liner inside the cap. You know, and it's a good size pen. And then afterwards, they came out with another version of it that had a metal cap. I went for the black version of this. Comes in many different colors, or a few different colors. But in doing my research, I found that they've now expanded this model quite a bit with a lot of different designs in the cap, more colors. Here's some examples of that. And if we take this off, we'll see the same plastic section, but it's interesting that they now have dark trim throughout the pen. But I don't think Jinhao does a black nib. Too bad. It would have really worked well with this look. And we do have some sunlight peeking through. You've had a fair amount of rain recently. There is a tornado out in the ocean and a front coming through. So not to be outdone, Moon Man did their version of a wood pen. And yes, it's a nice wood pattern. I mean, to me, wood is just a nice material. Sometimes difficult to use in a pen, but this one is done well. We unscrew it and we'll see that same black section, but certainly designed a little bit differently. This one just tapers down. A nice two-tone Moon Man nib. And not to be outdone, Hongdian did their version of a wood pen. And Hongdian's always good at giving you the model number, 660. And again, a nice pattern in the wood. Not really a spring-loaded clip, but still very functional, and I like the design. I think artistically, all these pens have something that I can enjoy. I said the diamine ink bottles have a very small opening. This isn't cherry sunburst, that's been put back in the box. But as you can see, that's too small an opening to accommodate the section on the Jinhao pen. It stops, so it can't go all the way down into the ink. Makes filling it a challenge. So what ink to put in the pen? Well, I went through my inks, thousands of them that I have, and this one attracted my attention, but not quite right. Tobacco Sunburst comes close, but I like Cherry Sunburst because it has more red in it. And because this bottle is so small in the opening, I couldn't fill the pen directly, so I filled the cartridge. And this is the first writing that I did. Very fine, very light. So I just did a little bit of smoothing on the nib, and I think it came out much better. Just took a little bit of effort, and also filling the cartridge without going through the nib and feed like you'd normally fill through a bottle takes a while for the ink to really saturate that feed. That could be also something that affected the way it wrote. So I would call this a generic nib. It's fine, almost bordering on extra fine. I don't like the way it feels. If I want to continue to use the pen, I'll probably swap the nib out for some other nib. And it also has a little bit of softness to it, which is the only redeeming feature of the nib. And I did do a little bit of smoothing, as I mentioned, but it still didn't make it a nib that I can enjoy as much as I want to enjoy my nibs. So we've come to the conclusion of this video review. Hopefully you found it interesting. Certainly a pen that didn't live up to my expectations, and my expectations I think were realistic. But, it's a pen in my collection. It certainly goes with my other wood pens. And in researching this, I found an interesting ebonite hard rubber pen now being offered by some Chinese sellers. Here's an example of that. Certainly not low cost. And I find a number of now relatively expensive Chinese pens available, mostly on AliExpress. But they're there, they're upscale. Hey, looking for that market expansion. So with that, we're going to finalize this review. I hope this video finds everyone safe, healthy, and happy, enjoying your pens, inks, and paper. So, I'd like to thank all of you for watching. Just doesn't feel good on the paper in my hand. We've reached the end of this video, and we will say bye. Don't know what's coming up. Stay tuned and watch and find out.